Congratulations, Jamarcus Shephard, the new head coach of Oregon State. Happy Football Friday, Coach. You're joining us live from Tuscaloosa. It's been an interesting week for you. I got into a rabbit hole reading about your life and your career, and I got to the point where I was on a .edu website reading a quote you gave, and I don't even know if you remember the quote. But in your recruiting coming out of high school to go play college, you let a coach know that you weren't going to go play for him, and you said that you told him, hey, sorry, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to a different school. And then you said you hung the phone up, made a sandwich, took a nap. I need to know, what sandwich did you make after that phone call, and how long does Coach Shepard nap for?
You know what? I don't remember what sandwich I made. You know what? And shout out to Coach Creighton. I have the utmost respect for him and what he's done to help develop me throughout, my career as a football coach. But I don't get to take many naps anymore, so I'm not much of a napper anymore. So I just kind of power through and keep it moving.
All right. Everything I've read, Coach, you've said that this will kind of be the last week. You want to finish it with the SEC championship at Alabama and then come back to Corvallis. I'm curious, two-part one, just for you to confirm that and what your calendar is going to look like. And then two, has this just been the craziest week of your life? I mean, you're flying coast to coast, you're in Tuscaloosa, then you're going to go to Atlanta, then jump on a bird. Just what has this week been like for you?
You know what? Week's been outstanding, honestly, just because the people who have really just been able to reach out and have understanding and support me in my mission to, finish out the right way here at Alabama, but also get prepared for this new journey at Oregon State. And so I just appreciate all those involved, from Scott Barnes to Greg Byrne to, Kalen DeBoer. Everyone has been in true support of me this entire process. Now, I think I did more in 48 hours up there in Corvallis than I've ever done in my life. And so, but it was exciting because of all the people that were around and available and in my presence during that time they were just on top of it. And I just truly appreciate it, knowing that they're all in alignment there in Corvallis.
We're talking with the new Oregon State head coach, Jamarcus Shephard, getting ready to take over. He is officially the Beavs coach, but getting ready for one more with Bama and then coming back to Corvallis to build the Beavs back up. You dabbled in a non-coaching career before becoming an intern under Willie Taggart. I'm curious, do you remember the moment you realized coaching was more what your career should be than the non-coaching career?
I knew back when I was in my senior year of college, actually. So my head football coach at that time, Bill Lynch, he asked me to come and participate and help out coach a team at the Bishop Delahan camp. It was an overnight camp. And you know what? He gave me a team that I was responsible for. And lo and behold, our team was probably the best team, and I sort of thought it was, had something to do with me. Well, I didn't know that they were a team that were going to be one of the state powerhouses in Cathedral High School there in Indianapolis. So that was when the bug sort of hit me then, and I tried for years, for a number of years, to get into this coaching profession. But when you play Division III football, you don't necessarily have all the connections to put you in those spaces to be able to have a chance to get into Division I college football. There are opportunities at DePaul University to be a football coach there, as well as our track coach was trying to convince me to come there and be the head track coach there at DePaul. But I just had visions of being at the Division I level and helping young men at this level.
Well, I mean, on that point, Coach, how long has it been a dream to be a head coach? And then what was it about this opportunity in Corvallis that made it feel like now is the time to go make a jump? This is what I want to do.
I don't know that being a head coach was ever a dream. I just more or less just worked my tail off and put in the time and continued to try to learn and put myself in spaces that would allow me to be prepared in the event that one of these opportunities came up for me. So just super excited that I had done all the legwork on the front end to prepare me for this. Now, as far as Oregon State University, I just have always had a ton of respect for this university. When you think about my vision for building a program, I just want the program to reflect like toughness, integrity, resilience, and those are the type of things that Oregon State University reflects as a program. It's what it represents, And in this age of college football, Oregon State has really had to be resilient with the conference realignment and some of the things that have happened. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that we are positioned in a way that we should be able to compete at the top of this new Pac-12, and I think we have everything that we need to be able to compete at the top of it. So I'm just looking forward to getting to work and getting after it with the guys.
Yeah, you got people pretty fired up with your press conference and, kind of giving us your backstory mixed in with how excited you are to be in Corvallis. I'm really curious, what's the message you're telling recruits? Because your recruiting class already for people like 3 kids were announced, and people were like, oh, my God, he's already better. Here we go. They're really jacked up about what you're doing. What are you telling recruits about how you envision Oregon State and why it might be the right school for them?
Well, you know what? I've just been able to spread my vision amongst a lot of young people over the course of my coaching career, just because I'm not afraid to tell my story. And so when they start to hear my story, they really truly are able to connect with it. Not only them, but their parents, their high school coaches, and people that influence them, their mentors. And so I just always had that ability to connect with people in that way. And so I'm letting them know this will be a program that's rooted in accountability, discipline, and I just want them to really care for one another, and that's when I talk about family, families forget about me, I love you. And I tell them how much I'm going to love them as players, because most players don't care what you know until they know that you care. And so I care about my players. And that's why, even former first-round draft pick Jihad Campbell here at Alabama, he played linebacker, but he's FaceTiming me, and he's like, Coach, I feel like I got the job hearing that you got the job, Jack Westover played tight end for us at Washington. He's calling Coach Shep, I just got the job because you got an opportunity. So I just have always had a lot of care for all of the players on the football roster, and that's what I will do with the young men that we're going to bring into Corvallis.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear. It's a great place to start. I'm curious to ask you, Coach, it's a unique time in college football where there's different ways to build your roster, and maybe this looks differently 10, 15 years ago where you kind of slowly build through high school recruiting, and you guys got off to a great start this week. When you look at these maybe first 2-3 years in Corvallis, what's your balance of building a roster through the portal, through high school recruiting? How does that kind of look in your mind as you start to put this thing together for 2026?
Well, fundamentally, I believe in really, truly still building a roster through high school kids. I think that I want to be able to develop them and help them see how our programs run at a high level. And so that to me is really important. Plus, I think the nucleus of the football teams is going to come from, within a 5-hour radius of Oregon State, of Corvallis. And so I'm not saying a number per se of players, but the nucleus. These are the guys that are going to take people home and take them to the lake with them, take them home for Thanksgiving, things of that nature. Those are our nucleus players, but they are contributors as well to the football team and some starters. But we're definitely going to have to go into the portal to fill out a full roster. Normally at this time, you'd be signing anywhere from 20 to 30 kids or high school kids, but we're going to have to go into the portal and bring some young men in order to make sure that we have a roster that's prepared and ready to compete. Now, I want to be clear, that does not exclude the current guys on the roster, okay? So we're still going through the process of evaluating each and every one of them, and there are certainly players there that just haven't had their opportunity. They're going to have a better chance to develop in our program, and then we'll continue to, investigate what's the best avenue for meshing all of it together. But I think we got a really good plan. I think I got a really good team helping me get that all together. And like I said, I can't wait to get there Sunday to really start pushing the envelope and continuing forward.
This is new Oregon State head coach Jamarcus Shephard getting ready to take over the Beavs after this weekend for the full-time basis. He gets ready for help Alabama win the SEC title game. What has coaching in the SEC for 2 seasons taught you, or what have you learned about coaching over there that maybe you didn't know before, or that you've just learned that you can try to apply out west?
You know what? Coming here in the SEC, it's as much pressure as you're ever going to be under, as much scrutiny as you can be under, especially at a place like Alabama, where the standards are set really high. And so my standards for the football team at Oregon State University are also going to be extremely high for the players, for anyone involved in the program. So we just want to do things in a first-class manner. Everything that we do is first class, and that's what you see from a lot of these teams in the SEC. Very, very first class in how they do everything. They don't say no very often here, you know. They say, hey, let me try to see if I can figure it out. So we're going to try to figure it out, and we'll do that in everything that we do as a football team.
Well, you mentioned you headed over to SEC country, but you had a couple of previous stints in the Northwest, one of them with a future conference opponent that you're going to play in Washington State, and obviously your time in Seattle at UW. How much did that help maybe make this transition a little bit easier? Because sometimes coaches will take a job out here, and they've maybe never been west of the Rockies or had a job, but you've coached in a number of cities out here in the Northwest. How much does that ease the transition for you?
No, it's definitely helped, especially when you think about the familiarity with the various teams on this side of the country, the various travel situations over here, and then how the recruiting landscape is on this side of the country. But then also just it's a different vibe when you talk about the various people that you end up interacting with. And so you know how to work well with the players on your roster because you've been around people from the various areas that they are from. So certainly it's really helped and given me a leg up in this process. Even just something as important as knowing how the scheduling works in terms of, hey, are we on a quarters or are we on a semester schedule? It helps a ton to have already experienced that out here on the West Coast.
Coach, we know you're against it. We know you're super busy. You're getting ready to try to win an SEC championship. I do want to ask, you weren't there very long. What was your favorite Mike Leach moment where you went, okay, this guy's a little different than some of the others I've worked with?
It was a meeting early on, very, very, very early on. And we were talking about a pre-snap cadence, and I asked him, I said, so is there any meaning behind us calling it purple? And he went on a 25-minute rant on the color purple and told me more about the color purple than I ever would have thought I would ever know about the color purple and how it impacts your eyes and so on and so forth. So that's when I knew I was with someone different, but I have the most respect and love for the late, great Mike Leach. And so I really, truly appreciated his personality and who he was.
Yeah, that's a great story. I wish I could ask you more about the color purple, and maybe that's something we put a pin in.
Interview part 2. We'll do color purple.
Yeah, next time we get Jamarcus Shephard on, let's dive into more TGIF and the color purple. Coach, thank you so much for hopping on. Good luck to your team this weekend, and I just want to put in the back of your mind, I know there's always going to be a little bit of a culture shock in new cities when you move. You're going to hear a term that you're going to think is very dirty and inappropriate, and it kind of is, but it's a play on a local bar in Corvallis. When somebody's asked if you've been to the top of the cock, that's the Peacock Bar and Grill in Corvallis. There's nothing dirty meant by it, okay?
Okay.
All right. Good luck this weekend. Let's catch up with you soon.
Thank you, and look forward to it. Last but not least, go Beavs.
There we go. Jamarcus Shephard, the new head coach of my Oregon State Beavers.
Hey,
good stuff.
Well done.
Good stuff.
Well done, man. I'm excited for you guys. Everybody seems to have that. It's that honeymoon phase. It's going to last all off season into the year next year, and then we'll see how the X's and O's work. But the honeymoon phase of a coaching hire is great. He checks every box. He's a great speaker. I love hearing from him.
And just imagine you're just shopping for furniture in Corvallis, and a fan comes up like, Coach, I'm glad that you're here. You've been to the top of the cock. Like, if you don't know what that is, you got to
be
warned.
You got to be prepared for that one.
You need to be warned.
Could throw you for a little bit of a loop.
Also, like 20 minutes on the color purple.
Yeah, that's a long time on the color purple. At Washington State, I would have just assumed it was something Husky related, like a rivalry game thing, purple, but no.
He probably went in.
It's easy on your eyes.
It's the color of royalty going back in the day and some other stuff
but
like that.
At what minute mark are you like kind of thinking,
Yeah.
Dude, is this ever going to stop? Is he going to stop talking?
There was I saw a clip from a former Saban staffer at Alabama, speaking of Alabama, who was telling stories, just crazy Nick Saban stories. And he said, we had a coaching meeting once getting ready for a game where we sat around at the meeting and legitimately for 30 minutes discussed what our kick or receive strategy was going to be. And like, if we, do we want to go this way? Do we want to go that way? 30 minutes. And he said after 25 minutes of the meeting, he leaned over to the guy sitting next to him. He said, you realize there's a 50-50 chance we just wasted 30 minutes? Because if they win the toss, we don't get to decide what we want to do.
Yeah, but like, that's why those guys
That's why
work
they're
16
That's
hour
why they're the
days.
best. I know. He's like, what if we lose the toss?
Right. The whole conversation would have been for nothing.
Could have had that 30 minutes back right there. Do we want to kick? Do we want to receive? Which way do we want to go?
Does that play a factor in overtime, even though you're not kicking off? Like,
right.
I just have so many
Change
questions.
things up a little bit, but purple, evidently easy on the eyes, according to Mike Leach and Jamarcus Shephard.
Enjoyed the conversation with Jamarcus Shephard. Good to know he's a TGIF guy, just like Dirt and myself. He is more our age range than Swag.
Yeah, what is he, 42?
He's 42.
42, so just a couple years older than you, a few older than me.
Yeah, just a couple years older. So good stuff from Jamarcus Shephard.